Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. I'm so glad that you could be here this morning. I'm a little bit late because I'm just a little slow this morning. It is a holiday weekend, and I wish that I didn't have to work. We all do. And I think it's important that I'm here to talk to you about what's going on because everybody's worried about the polls. By the way, good morning. I always ask you guys, sorry about that. Not in the studio today. So what'd you do for the weekend? Where are you streaming from? How was your weekend? Did you do anything fun? What's going on out there, Lemonheads? It's so good to see so many of you here on a holiday weekend. Are you working? Did your boss give you the day off? What's going on? That's what I would like to know. So again, sorry, I'm a little bit late this morning, but as they say, the old folks say, it bees that away sometime. So good morning. I'm so glad that you all are here. And did you watch the Sunday shows? Have you been watching the polls? Everyone is nervous about the polls. So they're all wondering, what is going on? What is going on with the polls, Don? Let me fix my thing back here to make sure that we get on time. We get that on in the background. All right. Well, anyway, I see your comments, sir. So I'm going to show you some of the polls, and I'm going to tell you something. All of the worry that you're like freaking out, I don't think that you should be freaked out. Okay. So don't be freaked out. Should you be aware? Is there potential for concern? Yes. Good morning from Hampton, Virginia, says Clarence Wyatt. Good morning from where? Lancaster. Manny here in Lancaster. How are you, Manny Miranda? Thank you. Southern California, MZ Bug. Good. I'm glad you guys are grand rising, folks, says Lily. So anyway, good to be a happy Canadian here, says TVMVP. BB. Okay. So I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't be concerned. Because there has basically not been any change in the polls. Okay. So it's not concerning, but yet concerning, especially when you consider where we are and who he is. So let me just put up some of the polls for you. Okay. The first one I want to put up is an NBC poll. Okay. This is from NBC News. And so this is a poll that was conducted. This is a national poll, right? This is a national poll. These are not battleground states. Does this matter? It does matter because it shows momentum and it shows where we kind of are right now. Okay. So this NBC poll conducted, look at this. This is a real tie. 48 to 48%. 48 to 48%. I think the next one is a CBS poll that we're going to put up. The CBS poll, this is nationally. Kamala Harris is at 51. Donald Trump is at 48%. These are likely voters. And then Kamala Harris in the battleground contest is at 50%. And Donald Trump is at 49%. Okay, that's choice for president. That's a CBS poll, CBS YouGov poll, October 8th through the 11th that it was taken. And today is the 14th. All right. So this may have even moved since then. The NBC poll, I believe, go back to the NBC poll, please, Andy. I think that one is the most recent one. And again, this is just nationally with a margin of error. You see that at 3.1 points, plus or minus. Okay. And then this next poll that we're going to put up is from, these are the national polls. And I'm not sure exactly who this one is from. Hold on one second.
538.
This is 538. Okay, so 538 is Harris 48.5, Trump 46.0. Now, let me tell you why this matters, because you need to, when you're looking at these, you need to take into account the momentum. All right, that's the thing, the momentum. Now, I'm going to say something that you guys will not like, but it's the truth, and you need to know it. So momentum-wise, so coming into this contest, when Kamala Harris first got into this contest, she had all the momentum on her side, right? It was a new candidate. Joe Biden had dropped out of the race, right? People were getting behind her because they thought there was some new energy, and there was. So that was her. She got this bump all at once, right from the beginning, and then maybe a little bit from the convention, but then really not much, because all of her bump came from the beginning. She was riding the momentum up, 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 up. Now, it is believed that she perhaps has reached a ceiling, and that is why turnout really matters at this point. Okay? So Donald Trump has the momentum because he is bringing in people who haven't voted before, don't have a tendency historically not to vote, and that is really young men. That's young men, and not older men. Older men, they support Donald Trump. They vote for the Republicans almost every time, especially white men. He is gaining with Black men and Hispanic men. And so that's where the difference is coming in. Donald Trump is picking up some new voters. Kamala Harris appears at this point to have plateaued. There's only about 3 weeks left. If she can hold on to this lead, she'll be fine. If not, she's not going to be fine. When you're at this point, being the underdog by a few points isn't a bad place to be, especially if you have momentum and you're bringing in new voters. Now, that's the God's honest truth. Whether you want to hear that or not, then, that's up to you guys, how you receive that. But also, you also have to remember, you guys say polls, schmoles. I don't care about polls. I don't care about no darn polls, Don. Well, that's partially true. You don't have to care about the polls, but you should just be aware of them. I think they do show a snapshot in time. They do show momentum. I think it's important to pay attention to them, but not to worry and let it freak you out and become freaked out. And then, you can't go about your day because of these polls. But the concerning thing for me is, why are we at this point when you have one person who is not a danger to the democracy and you have another person who is? Why is this happening? Especially when that person is bordering on fascism. Take a look at this.
Let's remember, you've got 50,000 Chinese nationals in this country in the last couple of years. Yeah. You have people on the terrorist watch list, 350 in the last couple of years. You got, like you said, 13,000 murderers and 15,000 rapists. Right. What are you expecting? Joe Biden said he doesn't think it's going to be a peaceful election day.
Well, he doesn't have any idea what's happening in all fairness. He spends most of his day sleeping. I think the bigger problem is the enemy from within, not even the people that have come in and destroying our country. By the way, totally destroying our country. The towns, the villages, they're being inundated. But I don't think they're the problem in terms of election day. I think the bigger problem are the people from within. We have some very bad people. We have some sick people, radical left lunatics. And I think they're and it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military, because they can't let that happen.
Okay, so here's the thing that Donald Trump is doing, playing on racism, the racism that has become the immigration issue, making it into us versus them, other folks, these are the other folks, or people who are invading your country and they're taking your jobs and they're dangerous. Listen, is there an immigration issue? Absolutely, 100%. But people who are immigrants or migrants or who are not natural born citizens to this country have their rate of crime is less, to commit crime is less than native born people. Okay, less than people who are already Americans. And so that whole thing is BS. Are there issues? Absolutely. Are the issues as big as Donald Trump and the MAGA folks are making them out to be? Absolutely, 100% not. Okay? Retired general on television this morning talking about Trump, and this is why I'm concerned. Why are we this close? That's what your concern should be. We should not be this close in the polling, if the polling is accurate, when you have someone who is bordering on fascism. Here's a retired general.
I think it's very important for all the viewers to understand a few things about what is the Trump campaign and what is President Trump. He's authoritarian. It's nationalistic. It's far right. It's intolerant of dissent. It has a contempt for the rule of law. It requires direct obedience to a powerful leader, and it requires the supremacy of one ethnic group. Well, I just gave you the definition of what fascism is. And that's what hurts so much personally, is the average American who is a Trump supporter does not understand that actually right now, President Trump is demonstrating the attributes of fascism every single day. So essentially, we have to remember, what does it mean when General Milley called President Trump a fascist? That is right out of the textbook. It is not something where it is political rhetoric. It is exactly what it is. And every American that is supporting Trump right now needs to understand that they are absolutely supporting fascism if they vote for Trump.
Okay, so listen, that's not me. That's a general. Now, I said bordering on fascism. He says fascism. Do you believe Donald Trump is a fascist? Well, I think you have to look at what he's actually doing. You have to look at the evidence. You have to look at what he's saying. You have to look at his tendencies. And I don't believe that that general is wrong. I really don't. I think that he is possibly right. And so why then are the polls so close? Why then do we have these men of color? I will say that Black men, Latino men, why are they leaning away from the vice president and they're leaning towards Donald Trump? I know why. Partially, I know the reason why he's doing it. I'm thankful, says Amanda E. I am thankful that General Milley has spoken out. Where is John Kelly? I think John Kelly is speaking out as well. Yes, 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 fascist, says Jean H. Pierre. Yes. I think those young men of all ethnicities are listening to media now. And the media doesn't necessarily mean, as we call, quote, mainstream media or corporate media, although some of them are, but they're listening to digital, streaming, podcasts, all of this. And in that ecosystem, everything is pretty much to the right, either center right or far right. And so Black men and Latino men are listening to the same sort of media BS that white men in general are listening to. And let's not forget the elephant in the room, right? I don't mean the Republicans at this point, but I do, is sexism, is misogyny. Men feel that they're being left behind, especially by women. They're resentful of it. And whether you want to believe that or not, it is a real thing, right? So the whole issue that has come up over the weekend since Barack Obama, gave his speech in Pennsylvania, I believe it was on Thursday night, and then went to a Black Voters Summit and spoke out about what's going on. Yes, thank you. Tink66, I agree with you. I did see that, but there's even beyond what Roland did on his program. This goes even beyond that. So ever since Barack Obama, did his speech or spoke to folks at the Black Voters Summit, basically people feeling he's chastising Black men. I think telling the truth, many people don't want to hear it. Maybe his approach wasn't the perfect one, but sometimes I won't tell you what I think. I want you to listen to what he said. This is Barack Obama, our former president. You tell me what you think about this.
You found out was just making stuff up. You at least give him a talking to. And you sure wasn't putting him in charge of anything. So, I didn't mean to get so serious. But when I hear about this stuff, I start feeling like we don't have enough of a sense of what's at stake here. These aren't ordinary times, and these are not ordinary elections. You're lucky Michelle's not here. She really talking serious about this stuff. So, but here's the good news, right? The good news is that not only as Attorney General and as a senator and as a vice president and now as the nominee for the Democratic Party, Kamala has made us proud. She has been out there. If you doubt that, I hope y'all watched the debate, because that wasn't close. That was like Mike Tyson. Back in the day, it was like, oh man, stop that now. So we know she can do the job, and she's got an outstanding partner in Tim Walz. And so we can take pride and feel good about the nominee. This isn't just a matter of.
Okay, that wasn't quite the right one, and neither the one where he was speaking directly to black men. Okay, so he was speaking to black men, saying, you know what, you coming up with all these excuses about her that are not right, that your information is off. The whole thing about her locking up black men and whatever, that's not correct. And you're using every excuse in the book except the one that is probably the most accurate and truthful one. And that is, she's a woman. And you don't think a woman, or you don't want a woman to be the president of the United States because you don't think that she's deserving of it, or there's some, internalized misogyny, and you're being sexist. Basically, it's what he said. Well, everybody sort of went crazy over the weekend saying, why is he chastising black men? If Kamala Harris loses this election, it won't be because of black men. It'll be because, why isn't he chastising white women? Because white women are the ones who tend to vote against their own interests the most when it comes to Donald Trump. Look at what happened with Roe v. Wade. And also white men. Why aren't you chastising them? Because they tend to overwhelmingly vote for Donald Trump as well. How is this going to be on black men? Okay, that may be true. There is some truth to that. But there's also some truth into what Barack Obama is saying. And some people may not like to hear, and I think that was a tough conversation to have. Tough conversations are just that, tough. And people don't want to hear them. Sometimes people need to be chastised, right? You don't want your message to bounce off. I don't think that all the blame should be put on black men. But the black men that I have spoken to, and I continue to speak to on a daily basis, come up with these excuses and these reasons that are just inaccurate. They're just plain wrong. And so there are two excuses here. One, misinformation. Oh, there are three excuses. One is misinformation, right? Two is the media ecosystem, what media you're consuming. And three is that perhaps you are I should maybe say four. Perhaps you are a misogynist. And the fourth one is maybe you're just conservative and you don't like her policies. But if you're saying you're conservative and you don't like her policies, then I want to know the reasons. And usually people cannot come up with those reasons. They can't come up with the reasons for being conservative and not liking her policies, because then they tell me they don't really know her policies, that it's a stimulus check. Okay, that's not, because Joe Biden has given you two stimulus checks and Donald Trump gave you one that he did not want to, that he held up, I should say, to have his name put on it. And if it's because of sexism, then that's a whole other thing. And if you're listening to perhaps this sort of right-wing media ecosystem, then you are misinformed. So listen, I am of two minds about this. Should you be chastising people? You guys may not like it. I don't see I don't see what's wrong with some chastising. I really don't. Because most of the time that I have learned and I've corrected course has been when someone chastised me. Someone who was in a position of power who knew better. When they chastised me and they shocked me into reality, because sometimes you just don't know. And it doesn't mean that is your intent, you have a harmful intent. It's just that you don't know and you haven't thought about certain things. And sometimes people can hold up a mirror. I believe Barack Obama was holding up a mirror. Now, I wasn't insulted by it because I'm a black man. That did not apply to me because I am neither of those things. I'm also informed. And so that didn't offend me. Now, when I saw it, I was like, oh, oof. And when I saw his speech as well, I was like, when he talked to men, I was like, I'm not sure. But who am I to criticize Barack Obama? He was the president of the United States, a very respected president, a very good president, was great for the economy. Many people believe that he should have done more for black people while he was in office. Okay, that's real. That's true. Perhaps that is true. All right. But just because someone is telling you the truth and you don't want to hear it does not necessarily mean that it's wrong. Because When your parents chastised you, did you want to hear it? Did you think that that was the right thing to do? Were they trying to, was there a sort of scared straight aspect to it? Of course, that's what it is. And perhaps in this day and time, maybe folks need that. Now, you can disagree with me all you want. I'm just saying the truth often hurts and people become offended by the truth. Do you think I'm wrong? GB says, Don, chastising does not work. It only makes them not listen even more. Okay, I agree. That's what I say. That's why I'm of two minds about this. I agree with that, but it doesn't mean that he's wrong. And is it chastising or is it chastising? Let me ask you this, because I want to go with, I really want to dig into this. And I don't think everybody's opinion is valued and valid, I think, for the most part. It's valued. Is it valid? Well, that's how you feel. So GB, explain to me, is it really chastising or is he saying things that people don't want to hear? Because how much can you cajole and say, hey, man, sometimes you have to tell people the truth. And perhaps it was the conversation starter that we needed. Oh, well, Nubia said the same thing. If nothing else, Obama started the conversation with black men. You're way ahead of me, Nubia. You're a lot smarter than me. You guys can see I got up to get my coffee just a little bit ago. I haven't had my coffee. So, Nubia, I think you're right. If anything, it started the conversation. It started the conversation. They don't want to hear the truth, says Tara Davis. Amy Atkins says, President Obama did not chastise no one. He can voice his opinion. TD says he's not chastising. Elena says it is about social responsibility. Obama knows this, and this is why he is willing to say his truth. It is like tough love, Don. It's hard to hear sometimes, says Taylor Milata. Helen P. says several of my Democratic family members are voting for Trump. They drank his Kool-Aid during COVID. They did. It's true. And so did people of color as well. I don't think it's chastising. I think he is speaking the truth, says Amande. So 1.9 in the chat and under 600 likes. Yes. So you guys make sure you hit that, smash that like button, and also make sure, look at that. Look how we're going up. We just got to 100, seems like 150. What is it, 2 weeks ago? And now we're almost at, 250. Now we're almost at 260. We're on our way to 300,000. So help us get there. Help us get there. He was not reprimanding them. He's telling the truth, says Sheena C. So I tend to agree. A lot of my friends who I really respect and admire, a lot of black men, may disagree with me a little bit. I love Charles Blow. He had a fantastic tweet and column talking about this. I think Charles is very smart and honest, and so I'm willing to listen to them. Truth telling is not always popular, says 96 Degrees. I agree. So you guys keep telling me. I really do want to hear. Now, I like to shout out when people are doing the right thing. And look, so I want to shout out my former colleague at both CNN and also on the Tom Joyner Morning Show. Do you guys remember that? Roland Martin. I think Roland is doing a great job with these panels. He's doing focus groups and town halls with black men. And I think he's doing a really good job with that. And so, Roland and I don't always agree on everything, but I don't agree on everything with anybody. So, that goes without saying. But I do think that he's doing a good job with this. And I do think that he's doing a good job in calling people out and getting them to think about why they believe what they believe, why they're saying what they're saying, and why they're going to do, which means vote for Donald Trump. So there you go. So anyway, so yes, Roland is doing an excellent job. So when you see Roland, if you go into his chat, just say Roland, Don Lemon is shouting you out, saying that you're doing a good job. He is doing a good job. So I just say that, Roland can be Roland. I always say when I'm talking to people, and even him, I'm like, oh, there goes Roland, rolling in him right now. So anyway, I agree. It started a conversation. So look, I don't want to dwell on this too much. By the way, I'm going to be on. You guys tune in tomorrow, if you will. For those of you who watch, if you don't watch, you don't have to watch, because I hear some people say they don't watch anymore, especially since I left. That is your thing. If you don't want to, then you do you. So I'm going to be on with Dana Bash tomorrow at noon on CNN talking about this. Okay, talking about the election, the upcoming election, and especially what's going on with black men. Now, you guys, hold on. The Big Cheese says Barack Obama's finger wagging black men will backfire, says the Big Cheese. Okay. Why do you say that? Tell me what you think. I do think that it may, you know, some people may go, who are you to tell me? And they are saying that. But guys, you have to give me my flower. Oh, casual observer, don't worry about that because I'm going to tell my whole truth tomorrow, okay? When I go on. So there you go. I'm going to tell my whole truth. You don't have to watch TD. I'm just telling you the whole truth, the whole Don Lemon truth is going to come out tomorrow at noon on Inside Politics on CNN. Okay, so you guys don't have to watch if you want, because I will play the clip for you here if you don't want to watch, but I encourage you to. But if you don't want to watch, it's your business. I'm not going to be mad at you, but I will play it here in our Live at 5 show. Okay, I'll play it here so that you can hear it on our channel. This is our channel. This isn't just my channel. This is our channel. You can hear it for yourself. So I have so much to say about this, but you have to give me my flowers because who was talking about this? Was it 2 months ago? 2.5 months ago at the convention? Before the convention? Saying, I even contacted the campaign saying, hey, you have a problem. Nobody said anything. They disagree with me. I don't believe that BS. Black men are not going to vote for Donald Trump. This is not true. And then all of a sudden, what happened? You guys remember? And some of you were like, Don, why are you putting these people on? When I did Helen P., I feel you. All of you guys, I feel you about CNN. I feel you guys. So then if you don't want to watch, then watch it on our channel. I will play it for you. But I assure you that I'm going to go into that venue and I'm going to tell the truth, okay? Whether they want to hear it or not. But I've been saying this, and you guys were mad at me saying, why are you putting these black men on saying they're not going to vote for Kamala Harris? Why are you putting these black women on saying they're not going to vote for Kamala Harris? Why are you doing this? Because that's what I found when I went out to talk to people. I was not curating anything. No curation, nobody, I didn't go up to anybody saying and ask them before. The only thing I asked them is that, can we ask you some questions? What is it about? It's about the election. That's it. How do you feel about the election? If you listen to my question, how do you feel about the election and who are you going to vote for? Kira Clark, I hear you. Kira says, yeah, Kira, I hear you. Says Roland wants people to pay his company. He's self-serving. Okay, listen, I don't know about that, but I do know when you're in this independent space is a tough place to be because you don't have a big corporation behind you. You don't have big sponsors behind you. And so you need people in order to stay on, stay streaming, to keep your company running, to stay in business. You need people to support you. So your channel, this comes from your support, mostly from your support. I don't ever ask you for anything, but I always thank you. I try to thank everyone who contributes and supports independent media. But I understand why Roland wants people to pay. He may have a paid subscription or paid subscribership. I'm not sure. I don't know his channel that well, but I understand why he's doing it. Okay. And so I would hope for you, if we had a paid service on this channel, I would hope that you would think about contributing and also subscribe to it because it is important for us to be able to stay on. And I didn't say that to get you guys to do it. So LaShawn Lockerman, thank you. I appreciate it. Our leaders need to go onto the sports shows on Monday to reach mass numbers of black men. You have to go where they are to reach them. I agree 100%. But also, wait, you guys, I'm going to talk so much about the media as well. I hate to blame the media because I'm in the media now in a different space. I like this space for you. It says Be Blessed 70. I do. Thank you. I like it too. I support Roland. We need more black media. Thank you, Miss Ladybug. Thank you. And I'm glad you support me as well. Thank you for your support on these topics as Nappy Child. Thank you. Nappy Child, you're my biggest fan. I love it. Thank you. Yeah, so we do need that. But I'm going to talk all about that. I'm going to talk about maybe what the campaign can do better, is doing better now, and should have been doing a long time ago. Okay? And should have been doing a long time ago. So as we move on, make sure you smash that like button and make sure you get folks to subscribe. Seriously, to let everyone know, because we do need that, because oftentimes we are shut out of corporate media or mainstream media and we are sidelined and marginalized. And I think to a certain extent, that's what the Harris campaign is doing to Black media. I'm not saying, and I'm going to talk about this tomorrow, I'm not saying it's her. I'm just saying it's her campaign because she has people. I would pay for a subscription that says, I'm an FCU believer. Okay, thank you. You guys, do you want paid subscriptions now? We're trying to build. Maybe when we get to 500,000 or 1 million, we'll do some paid subscriptions, but I want as many people to be able to tune in as possible. Okay, I'm not hearing Black athletes speaking out as before. I'm not either, but perhaps, thank you, Terry Stork. I appreciate your supporting independent media. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's move on. You guys, let me know what you think. If you have men in your life, let me just say this. If you have men in your life, regardless of their ethnicity or their background, you need to have a talking to them. You need to have a talking to them because we've had all male presidents forever, one Black man. The Black man actually did a great job. And you know who else did a great job? It's Joe Biden, who happens to be a white man, right? There have been many of opportunities that white men have effed things up, have screwed up the presidency and the country and the economy and policy and all of that. And they've had plenty of opportunities. Okay, so a woman wants an opportunity. She happens to be Black. What's the big deal? If you can survive 4 years of Trump, then you can definitely survive 4 years of Kamala Harris. Trust. But you may not be able to survive 4 years of another 4 years of Donald Trump. Thank you, Shareem Algarin Morris. Don, you have been extraordinary on this platform. It is so refreshing to have a safe platform where you can have tough conversations. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that, Shareem, and thank you for supporting independent media. As well as Guinevere Crop. Thank you. Victory, says Guinevere. Thank you. And when you do this, if you do support us, you can put a comment in there. I would like to read it. So where was I? What was I talking about in these spaces? Oh, if you have a man in your life, regardless of the ethnicity, you need to tell them the truth. There have been plenty of opportunities for white men. Carol Hamilton says Van Jones was not happy with it either. Well, you know, I love Van. I worked with him. That's Van's opinion. I'm not sure what the context was. Maybe I agree with something. I'd have to check into it. But for the most part, I don't agree with that. And I think that sometimes you just have to dig in a little. And sometimes, you know, sometimes things can be a shock to your system, and it's supposed to do that. Okay? Yeah. Don, you just say simple truth is refreshing. Thank you so much. Thanks for that, Sissy. Okay, so talk to the men in your lives, especially if you're women and you're controlling the house and the products that are being brought in the house, and you're taking care of the home and the kids and all of that. And you got someone, you know, with this BS talking about a woman can't run the country or Donald Trump did this or whatever. Just talk to them. Just talk to them. Thank you, TC Dan. Governor Jesse Ventura praised Harris on TV recently. That's great. So I will say at this point, just so you know, I am still cautiously optimistic about this because I do believe that women are going to save the day. I do believe that women are going to save the day. I think that women are going to show up in droves. And I think it's very important, especially if you're white women in this chat, raise your hands. Tell me what you're going to do. If you're getting the other women in your friendship circle or you're at work or in your neighborhood, if you are getting them to go out and vote, because I do believe the difference will be you. White men as well. I think the difference will be you. If you turn up and you support Kamala Harris, I think the difference will be you. Okay? So, and the reason is, again, we're talking about the tendencies that the former president has. Sharon Culpepper, you are 150%. I just don't want to say it, if you know what I mean. Sharon, I'm not a fence sitter. I am true to my principles and what I believe. And I don't say things just for whatever. So I don't know if that's the truth in this particular thing, but I'm not a fence sitter. Okay. I don't play both sides of the fence. Because again, we're talking about the tendencies that the former president has. And when you think about how much your vote counts, that is one of the most important things that you have is your vote. Bring me the comments about women, white men, if you're in the chat. But I just want to show you one example of why it's important that you vote, because we have a democracy where every vote should count and no one should be trying to overturn a free and fair election. Here is what Donald Trump said on using the military to quail election protests, which is frightening. Thank you, Maureen Marfell.
I don't have that one done.
Oh, wait. Okay, so he doesn't have it. All right. Well, anyways, I think that was the first one that we played. I think that was Maria Bartiromo.
Yeah, I think we played it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That is producer Andy. Say hi to producer Andy, everyone. So again, so you heard what he said there, that he's going to use the military. Now, but I want to play to you the Trump at a rally over the weekend. Okay, and then I'm going to show you what happened to his folks at one rally over the weekend. This is him ranting and raving in an Arizona rally. One of them. Here it is.
Like one mispronunciation of a word. He's cognitively impaired. He's getting old. He's getting old. He mispronounced a word like the name of the gang, if I did. No, I think I got it perfectly, didn't I? But if they see any, they watch for weeks and weeks. For weeks and weeks, I'm up here ranting and raving. Last night, 100,000 people, flawless, ranting and raving. I'm ranting and raving. Not a mistake. And then I'll be at a little thing and I'll say something a little bit like the. I'll say, duh. They'll say, he's cognitively impaired. No, I'll let you know when I will be. I will be someday. We all will be someday. But I'll be the first to let you know. But when you can do this.
Okay, now let me tell you this. As I say, he's cognitively impaired. But the rules that he had for Joe Biden seem not to apply to him, right? The rules that he has for Kamala Harris not to apply to him, because he says, oh, it's word salad or whatever. And I want to talk about that a little bit later, where he says it's word salad and blah, 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 blah. And Joe Biden has a stutter. Joe Biden is a man of a certain age. But don't get me wrong, Joe Biden, I'm telling you, that whole exchange that he had last week, if you can find that, Andy, I don't know, or Peter, producers, where he was asked about Donald Trump, if he spoke to Donald Trump, and he's like, no. That was the amazing Joe Biden and just how quick-witted he is. If we can find it, we'll play it. If not, don't worry about it. But that's him for one. Okay, number two, ranting and raving at an Arizona rally. Again, here's another one.
200 miles more. Then we had a rather strange election, didn't we? We're not going to let that happen again. Not going to let that happen again. Remember, we did great in 2016. We did much better in 2020. Millions of more votes.
Okay, what is he talking about? Again, that goes to the thing that I was saying. He's trying to control the turnout of the election, or the actual outcome of the election, regardless of the turnout and the actual vote. That's not democratic. The rules, again, different for him. They don't apply to him. The rules don't apply to him. Not only the rules about the outcome of the election, but also this whole idea about racism. No matter what he says, even though many of the things he says are racist, even still, the racist rules don't apply to him. Watch what he said at a rally.
Would you rather have the black president or the white president who got 1.7 billion off the price? I think they want the white guy right now.
Now, to me, that is, in a long time, that's one of the most racist things that he said. Why would he even bring that up? Do you want the black president or the white president? When have you heard Kamala Harris? As a matter of fact, they're staying away from this on purpose. When was the last time you heard Kamala Harris talk about shattering the glass ceiling, being a black candidate in the race. Now, folks around her are doing it, but she's not. When was the last time you heard her bring race into this election? She's not. But guess who does? Donald Trump. She just turned black. Remember that? So the rules of racism don't even apply to him. He and his supporters probably don't even think that that is racist. Who do you want? Who do you want? Oh, they're taking your black jobs. And I thought it was brilliant that the Democrats took that back and made a meme out of it. And the former first lady, black jobs. What does that mean? So the rules of racism don't apply to him. Also the rules, and look, he said some doozies, whoppers, these rallies, he's becoming, I don't want to say that word, crazier, but more unhinged as not even the days, as the hours go by. And the closer we get to the election, the more unhinged he's going to become. Now there was Coachella this weekend, right? You guys heard about Coachella? You know what Coachella is? This big music festival, this big festival, Coachella. And oh, by the way, he's talking about 100,000 people at his rally. So he went to Coachella and he sort of drafted off of the Coachella crowd. And he says that you heard him in that soundbite saying it was 100,000 people, and he says one thing wrong. Well, the crowd estimates were, the capacity for the crowd was 10,000. So in that same soundbite where he's saying, "Oh, my cognitive, whatever," he's saying 100,000 people. It's not 100 unless someone put in the teleprompter and he misread 10,000 as 100,000, or maybe he just is not okay, or lying. So Coachella over the weekend, Donald Trump decided that he was going to drop into Coachella to speak to some young folks, to speak to festival goers, and try to, get some of their votes. But basically what he was doing was using people as what? Props for a photo op. That did not go so well because there's someone in the crowd. Check out the crowds. Now, this is during the day. It was so hot out there, right? And there were so many people, and it took a while to get in. People had to wait for hours. This is what was happening in the crowd. They literally had to call medics for people in the crowd. Watch. That's the nighttime one. Do we have the
This
daytime?
isn't normal. Apparently the buses are no longer coming, or at least there used to be like 20.
That's
passed out.
Okay, so these are people passing out in the crowd. They waited hours to get in. Some of them said they waited like 7 hours to get in. They were bussed in from another venue. Okay, so think about it. There are all these people who are bussed in and they're out there, right? Even if it was whatever, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000. There were thousands of people who were bussed in, and it's hot as hell out there. And you can see people are passing out. They're having issues, okay? Now, I want you to think about it in this context, all right? So these are the people that he brought in. These are his folks. Now, he goes and he does the rally where he talks about, 10,000 people. He has his rally, 100,000 people. And then later, after the rally, this is a video that Andy showed before. We're going to show it now. Check out what happened. They were stranded. He left his own people hanging. Here it is.
This isn't normal. Apparently the buses are no longer coming, or at least there used to be like 20 buses when we were being brought here, but now there's only like 3 buses operating, and it's an absolute, it's just chaos, absolute chaos. All of us are stranded here. Everyone's stranded here. something went wrong. Look at this.
There's chicks that are organizing this that are failing.
Look at all of us.
If you could just, yeah, we're
Sorry,
gonna walk
excuse me. There's supposed to be like 20 buses here, and there's only one. Everyone's starting to freak out. And there's people that go down this street for I don't know how long. Somebody, and they've been running us around through all the different streets, telling us to go east and then going west and then going east again and then going west, and it's an absolute madness. Somebody did something, and we need to get to the bottom of this. Someone needs to investigate this now. Everyone here is stranded. Everyone here is stranded. We're all stranded here.
Okay, so listen. Do you remember? I don't know if you guys saw. I did a hot take last week. Thank you, Peter, for helping me with that. Peter is my producer, writer. Who does Donald Trump hate the most? And people were shocked. And I'm like, no, it's not Hillary Clinton. It's not Kamala Harris. It's not Joe Biden. It's not even, what did I say? It's not even Rosie O'Donnell. Remember? He hates his own people the most. Because let me just be honest, what happened here? Again, he decided that, oh, you know what? I need a photo op because I want to get people on board. I want certain people to vote for me. I've reached my ceiling when it comes to women. Women are just not feeling me for the most part, right? So I don't have much wiggle room there. So I'm going to go for these younger people, and especially these guys, young men, right? The manosphere, right? The bro sort of sphere. And so then he pops into this, Coachella, this concert venue. He tries to draft off of the crowds that are already there, right? Using people as props for a photo op. He flies in on his private plane and then his private car to get to this event. And then he leaves in his private car to get to his private plane, and he abandons all of those people. Well, maybe Don, it's a venue, whatever. It's still his responsibility because it was what? It's his rally. The buck stops where? With him. Now, reportedly, he owes all of this money to venues that he's not paying, venues where he's doing rallies. And the rallies that he's doing, like this one, there are issues. He's not handling them properly. They're not managed properly. So he not only uses these folks, but then he abandons them and gets on, as I said, his private car, private plane, and he flies out, and these people are waiting. Now, I've always been told, since I've been old enough to be aware of politics, this goes from everyone from the dog catcher to the alderman to the councilman to the mayor to the Congress to the Senate to the president. If you can make the trains run on time, then I'm good. I might vote for you, even if I don't believe in everything that you say or do. If you can handle the business of the government and take care of the people, then I will vote for you. Donald Trump can't even take care of his own supporters, and he can't even make the buses run on time. Why should he be in charge of the government if he can't do it for a small rally of 10,000 people, maybe 10,000 people? If he can't handle that, then what makes you think that he can be responsible for our government and responsible for you? What makes you think that? Okay? I think that's a very good question to ask. Am I asking too much from that? So there you go. By the way, let me just show some crowds real quick. Speaking of, Just show this because everyone's talking about, the crowd size crowd. This is JD Vance. Now, Tim Walz, thousands of people at his rally. This is JD Vance rally. Only since Trump, lots to talk about crowd sizes. So this is for the New York Times, and this is the crowd today at JD Vance in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Okay? I'm just saying. Don't fall for the hype and don't believe everything you read. Let's see next what I want to show you. Two things. One is, so you have JD Vance, and you have JD Vance who goes on, different news programs, and I saw him over the weekend, and he just goes on and he doesn't stop talking, and he just talks over the moderator or the anchor or whomever. And it's frustrating to me because they really don't call him out, right? They don't stop him at mid-sentence and say, stop, that's not the question, especially when they're asking him. I'm not sure if we have the one where they were asking him about who won the 2020 election. If we have it played, if not, don't worry about it. He just won't answer. Martha Raddatz on ABC wouldn't answer. If you keep asking me that question, I'm going to say, yes, keep asking that question because you're not answering. And there's a reason you're not answering. These are things you're focused on, and as a journalist, you should be embarrassed. No, these are the things I'm focused on. Journalism is focused on truth. So please don't obfuscate and don't deflect. Answer the question. Did he lose? I'm not asking you the reasons why. I'm just asking you to answer the question, yes or no. No one does that. And I love Martha Raddatz, and I love a lot of folks, but they just don't do it. Now, who can go into the lion's den, as we know, and handle the people? That's Pete Buttigieg. On Fox News, here's Pete. Watch.
Them the most, whether we're talking about choice and her stance on defending a woman's right to choose versus Donald Trump, who eliminated a right to choose in this country.
Well, he sent it back to the states.
No,
to be fair.
Let's be very clear. He is proud of the fact that he demolished the national right to choose in this country, period.
But there are states that are figuring this out. I mean, there are some that are, it's nearly impossible, a 6-week ban or less. But there are states in this country that allow no restrictions up until the due date of a child.
There was a national right to choose in this country, law of the land, for 50 years, which the vast majority of Americans believe was the right thing to do. But Donald Trump made a promise when he was a candidate, one of the few promises he actually kept, by the way. He didn't keep his promise of 6% economic growth. He didn't keep his promise to drain the swamp.
He did have a pandemic to deal with.
But even before the pandemic, America went into a manufacturing recession, which really hurt places like where I come from in the industrial Midwest. But anyway, my point is, he broke his promise for that kind of economic growth. He broke his promise to pass an infrastructure bill, right? He said he would do that. He failed to do it. The Biden-Harris administration got it done. He even broke his promise to that January 6th mob when he said, I will be at your side when you march down to the Capitol. But he actually did keep two promises. He kept his promise to destroy the right to choose in this country, and he kept his promise on tax cuts for the rich. And if you want to know what a second Trump term would be like, I would start by looking at those rare promises that he actually managed to keep.
He did say that he wanted to get rid of Roe v. Wade, but again, send it to the states where they are hashing this out
empower the states to eliminate women's access to abortion. And also, as you know, the Republican Party continues to be interested in a national abortion ban.
Which he's disavowed completely.
Yeah, he's disavowed a lot of things. I don't believe him. Because he lies all the time.
You think that his pledge that he would not pass a national ban is one that
it's one that's going to go down with most of the promises that he's made and broken.
And he's right. And you know what, though? I wish VP Kamala would do that. I wish VP Kamala would do that. And I think it might actually help her. I wish that she would do that. And you know what else I wish? I wish that she would actually go like on Rogan. I wish that she would go on Joe Rogan. Because I think that would make a huge difference. I don't know if you guys believe the same thing, but I think that would make a huge difference. Because Tim Walz does it, right? And I think Kamala Harris can do it, but I think her campaign is just sort of keeping her from doing those things. I think she should do that. The other thing is that, so, Pete has it when it comes to doing these interviews and going on these shows. He's got it, okay? You know who else I think still has it? And you tell me if I'm wrong. This guy. Tell me if you think this guy, and that's Bill Clinton, showing up at the McDonald's. You know he loves McDonald's, right? He was out campaigning for the vice president this weekend. Here he is. Check it out. Look at her. Look at her. So there you go. Does Bill Clinton still have it? Do you agree that Bill Clinton still? I think he does, and I think that guy. You don't have a better retail politician than Bill Clinton. I mean, he was amazing with that. Barack Obama was good too. If you saw him on Thursday out with the crowds, after his rally in Pennsylvania, he was very, very good. He's a great retail politician. Bill Clinton still has it. Someone had something interesting to say in the thing. So I agree. Someone said she should go on Rogan as well. I agree because, by the way, Donald Trump is going on Joe Rogan this week. Kamala Harris is going on. Let me know. Do you think she should go on Joe Rogan? Do you think he would have her on? I don't know. Yeah, Bill Clinton. I see what all you guys are saying about Bill Clinton. We need more Obama. Love, love, love President Bill Clinton. A little different than Vance's appearance at the donut shop. Yes, says Kathy McGuire. Absolutely. So people are like, oh my God, are you Bill Clinton? Bill's still getting the love. Donna W. I got to tell you, the folks like him, as they say, as Donald Trump would say, the blacks, the African Americans, they like the Bill Clinton. Say what you want. Don't mess with Bill Clinton. Black folks don't like it if you mess with him. So she is going on. Donald Trump is going on Joe Rogan. She is going on with Charlemagne the God. She may be on with Charlemagne today. And then she's also going on Roland Martin. We talked about Roland earlier. And they're doing this whole big push for black men. Here's a clip from Roland's show. It hasn't aired yet, but it's going to air, I believe, today. If not today, tomorrow. Watch. She's going on. She's going on. She's going on Charlemagne tomorrow. She's going on Roland today. Okay, here it is. Sorry.
His staff won't let him do a 60 Minutes interview. Every president for the last half century has done one. Anyone who's running for president. Everyone has done it except Donald Trump. He will not debate me again. I put out my medical records. He won't put out his medical records. And you have to ask, why is his staff doing that? And it may be because they think he's just not ready and unfit and unstable and should not have that level of transparency for the American people. There's a real choice in this election.
You mentioned.
So she's right. And more of that. More of that, please, Madam Vice President. More of that. Go right at him. And go right at him, I believe, in the spaces his people are watching. Go right at him. That's what she needs to do. Okay. Now, this one is a little bit off topic, but I just want to play something here. I don't know if you happen to see what happened with, you know who Ta-Nehisi Coates is, right? He's the author. And he had this whole thing with Tony DeCopo and Gayle King and Nate Burleson on CBS this morning, where he talked about in his book, he said, that Israel, that basically it was apartheid. And I believe I don't know if he said the genocide word as it comes to Palestine, but basically he said the people in Palestine and Gaza were living under apartheid, right? People took issue with that. Tony DeCopo took issue with that. And Tony DeCopo also took issue with what's in the book. Well, he was on this weekend with Ayman Muhadin about this sort of what he says is a racist reaction to his book. And because Ayman gave a quote of a critic of his book and what that critic said. And this is Ta-Nehisi Coates responding to it on MSNBC this weekend.
Acclaimed author and political thinker Ta-Nehisi Coates has been on an unusually controversial book tour, all due to some explosive conversations surrounding the subject matter of his latest book. The Message is a new collection of essays based on 4 of Coates' trips, including those to Senegal and South Carolina, as well as Israel and the occupied Palestinian territories. But there's been much more attention given to the latter part, those in Israel and the occupied West Bank. It all started with this appearance on CBS This Morning, which was anything but standard morning talk. Watch.
I imagine if I took your name out of it, took away the awards and the acclaim, took the cover off the book, the publishing house goes away, the content of that section would not be out of place in the backpack of an extremist. So I think the question is central and key. If Israel has a right to exist, and if your answer is no, then I guess the question becomes, why do the Palestinians have a right to exist? Why do 20 different Muslim countries have a right to exist?
My answer is that no country in this world establishes its ability to exist through rights. Countries establish their ability to exist through force.
Well, this week, CBS News executive said this interview failed to meet the network's editorial standards. But some journalists and media critics have actually come out in defense of it, calling the line of questioning just good journalism. Even book reviews have taken a sharp turn. Compact Magazine published a review with the incendiary title, Why Ta-Nehisi Coates Hates Israel. Helen Andrews writes in part, quote, "The problem with Israel is that it shames him. How can it be that the Jews carved their Israel out of the desert, and yet no place in Africa, least of all Liberia, remotely resembles Wakanda?" Andrews goes on to say Jewish people, quote, "overcame the hostility of the world to succeed where Garvey and Co. failed. That, and not any resemblance to Jim Crow, is the reason Coates hates Israel so bitterly." With me now to discuss all of this and more is Ta-Nehisi Coates, author of The Message. So,
okay,
wow,
pause.
really
Wait,
racist.
Pause. Yes, pause, and then just pull it back a little bit. Wow. And the whole Israel thing or whatever, the conversation in his book, I'm not, but just that comment was really racist. And regardless of how you feel about Ta-Nehisi Coates, wow. He's getting a lot of that on this book tour. Where is that coming from? Again, now you guys said that Barack Obama, in his talk to black men, started a conversation. Some of you believe the chastising doesn't work, but at least he started a conversation. Ta-Nehisi Coates is starting a conversation. Is it legit? What do you think? Let's continue on.
Ta-Nehisi Coates, author of The Message. So,
wow, that was really racist.
That was
pretty racist.
I wanted to start with that because I know that you are trying to.
I'm sorry, I haven't seen that.
I know, and I know that you are not seeing the reviews. I know you're not. You told me that you were not going to see the reviews or read what's going on about this.
I'm actually surprised.
But this one cut through for me, and I wanted to ask you about it because of the fact that in some ways it actually reinforces a lot of what you wrote in your book. But what is your reaction to that?
I mean, she didn't read the book because the book is about, essentially, it's a critique of nationalism at large. And it talks about Liberia, like, weirdly enough. I mean, and that is what it is. I don't want to get into, policing people's reviews. The thing that catches me is the carved part, right? Because that's exactly what I was talking about. I mean, it is like people say, this is not colonialism, while speaking colonial language. You know what I mean? Like this notion that you carved yourself out of the desert as though, once again, the natural world was somehow empty. There's no one there, to say nothing about this idea of use of force. I mean, it is, I'm sorry, I'm a little stunned. I'm actually a little stunned.
Yeah, so I think he has every right to be stunned. That was, and people don't, if you're reading that quote or you're sitting here or whoever you are and you're thinking that wasn't racist or that he deserved it, that's racist. That was some effed up shit right there. The comparison to Africa. And listen, remember, there are all kinds of atrocities that happen in Africa. Don't get nearly the headlines as all of the Middle East. And that includes Israel and, Iran and Iraq and Afghanistan. It gets way more attention than atrocities that happen in Africa. Even just as big of atrocities and genocides and all of those things. But to say something like that, part of it is because we don't pay enough attention. We are the most powerful country in the world, and we don't give nearly as much attention to things that happen in Africa and the situation there than we do. And you say, oh, well, Africa has warlords and dictators and blah, blah. Well, so does the Middle East. So does everywhere else. So it's all about who our focus and what our attention is on. So thank you. Who was it? There was someone, think about that, guys. There was someone in here who said, oh, JoJo777 JLD. Thank you. You said, I subscribe, Don. Thank you. I appreciate it. Make sure you guys all subscribe and make sure you hit the thumbs up, okay? The thumbs up is right below the video of us on the screen, okay? It's to the left. And make sure if you hit it, it should be black and not clear or white, okay? Congo, Sudan, says Anna Comins. Yes, Comins. Yes, absolutely. Bethany Harris says, preach, Don. It's a truth. Those things are true. Would they be saying that if a white man wrote that book, says Amy Atkins? Okay, Amy, that was the whole point of what happened inside of CBS. There are people inside of CBS. Look, I don't know the answer to this, but there are people who are saying that they believe that Tony would not have approached a white author or any other author that way. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what folks think. And they also thought it was very disrespectful, his approach. You know what I said about it. I talked to you guys about it. I believe in messy conversations, even if it sort of veers off, as long as people are respectful. I think that people should be allowed that, and you should keep the corporate overlords out of it, right? No one should be putting their thumb on the scale. CBS should have responded saying, this is good journalism, and this will spark another conversation, and this is what we do at CBS News, instead of like embarrassing their anchor and doing a whole DEI, thing. They could have handled it in the best way. They could have had the conversation out in the open with the very people who were doing it, and then others. There was a conversation here on CBS this morning that we did, and that would get people watching and involved in the conversation, instead of being like, oh my gosh, why are the inmates running the asylum? Why are you responding? Of course, you should respond to people and say, we hear you. We want you to voice your opinion. We are standing by our journalist. Even if you have issues with him, then you do those issues with him, not in public. But what you do is say, this is great. This is what journalism is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be perfect. Sometimes it's messy. Conversations are messy. And oftentimes in those messy conversations, you come to a consensus. Otherwise, if you're afraid to have those conversations and you over-censor them, then you get nothing. What's the point? So did I like everything that Tony DeCopel said? No. Do I agree with everything that Ta-Nehisi Coates said? No. But those are the conversations that you should be happening. And all the people who are news managers, the C-suite, the folks on the corporate boards and all of that, keep your thumb off of the scale, stay out of it, and let the journalists do the journalism. That's how I feel about it. And then you have another conversation the next day, or the next day after that, or the next day, or you do a special where you talk about these issues. Instead of hiding a problem, you do the same thing that you do in politics. You make the problem an asset for you. You go at the problem or the issue head on in a transparent way. It's not that hard. I don't get it. Maybe I should be a news manager or something. I don't know. What someone said. I agree. I don't think Don is ready to jump into professional politics. I hate politics. I'm not political. Jam Jim says Tony knew what he was doing. Of course he did. That's why he did it. I mean, yeah. Of course. Of course he did. Okay. The conversation came across as an attack. Monsieur Petit. All right. May have come across as an attack. Then talk about all of that. Explain all of that. Have the conversation. Will Butte Jr., yes, they won't do that. Will, you're right. I won't go on with the rest of the sentence, but you're absolutely right. Okay, everyone. That's it. Don't worry about the polls so much. Stop freaking out about the polls. We want you to be her press secretary, Tink66. Okay, you know what? I would be a great press secretary. I'm just telling you. But they're not. I don't know if people are ready for this heat. And that means the press, and that means people in politics. They're too risk averse. They're too afraid. Right? See, Barkley agrees. That's my doggy Barkley in the background. So everyone, listen, thank you. Make sure you smash that thumbs up button. I'm so glad I hope you have a great day. Tell me what you're doing today. As you can see, I'm not in the studio. I'm just going to be really honest with you. my husband's family lives in Long Island. We wanted to spend some time with them. And so we're here and we'll be back. I'll be back in the studio tomorrow. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm doing what families do for the holiday. So what are you doing for the holiday? What are you doing? I don't know if you guys are barbecuing, if you're spending time with family. How are you marking or celebrating this Indigenous People Day, as they call it, right? It was what, Columbus Day? Yeah. Jam says, you're not pretty. You're not pretty like Karine. No, Karine is a gorgeous woman. I could never be that good looking. So you're absolutely right about that. So let me know what you're doing. Vote, vote, vote. Right. And you know what? You should vote. Some people are getting mail-in ballots. So get them in. Early voting has started in some places. So get them in. And also, I forgot for the last couple of days. Make sure you get this in. I'm going to be discussing this soon in another venue that you should know about, and also tomorrow probably on CNN, because the reason they had me on is for the issues that I discuss, that I write about in this book, and for my work of traveling across the country and talking to men, okay, about what's going on. So I once was lost in my search for God in America, still out there available for you guys. So working, unfortunately, says Sino. Okay, some of you are working, yes. Don is a dreamboat, says Sherry Baby 80. Come on, not really. All right. So thank you guys. I will see you for Live at 5 today. Do you want me to have a Live at 5 today? Do we need it? Do we need a Live at 5 today? You guys want it? Come on. Maybe you do. Okay. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. We will have a Live at 5. I'll see you a little bit later on today. Thanks for watching. Have a fantastic day. Vote early if you can. If you have that mail-in ballot, send it in and talk to those men in your lives. Okay? See you later. Thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure you hit the like button. It helps us with the algorithm. And also, we'd love for you to become a subscriber. So hit that button too. We're live every day at 10 a.m. Eastern Time and 5 p.m. Eastern. So there's